Good morning. You are listening to UpReach, a morning devotional presented by the Church Street Church of Christ in Lewisburg, Tennessee, to encourage you as you face the opportunities and challenges of today. In John chapter 8, verses 42 through 47, we read these words. Jesus said to them, "If God were your Father, you would love me, for I proceeded forth and came from God. Nor have I come of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you are not able to listen to my word. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it. But because I tell the truth, you do not believe me. Which of you convicts me of sin? And if I tell the truth, why do you not believe me? He who is of God hears God's words. Therefore you do not hear, because you are not of God." Jesus says that the key to being able to hear God's voice is first to be one of his children. One of the great mysteries of the universe to my logical mind is how God can possibly communicate with 6 billion people on the earth at the same time. It is one of those mysteries of which I must let go because my inner hard drive will crash if I must explain and understand this before I'm able to believe and trust in him. It is as though God places a computer chip in each human being, and when we place our faith and trust in him, it becomes activated. We begin to communicate with him. Jesus says that if we are children of God, then we can hear God's voice. He further explains this relationship in the following parable. "Most assuredly I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers." John chapter 10, verses 1 through 5. The shepherd in Scripture is always representative of Christ. Sheep are representative of God's children. This passage tells us that the shepherd communicates with his children. We are called by name, and we can listen to our shepherd's voice. There is another comforting aspect to this relationship. The shepherd goes before the sheep to prepare the way. Jesus has already gone before us today to prepare our way in this world. Knowing the shepherd and his voice allows us to have the assurance that we will not be fooled by another shepherd's voice. The sheep know his voice. It is only when we are dull of hearing that we mistakenly hear another's voice and follow it. Sin can create a poor frequency in our communication with the shepherd. Make sure your frequency is free of static or sin today so that the shepherd can lead you and go before you. Finally, distractions can also keep us from hearing our shepherd's voice. When the sheep get entangled in the fence or wander off, they get too far away to hear the shepherd's voice. We must stay in close proximity to the shepherd in order to hear his voice. So why not stay close to the shepherd today? Listen to him and follow him. After all, he wants to lead you. This has been UpReach, a presentation of the Church Street Church of Christ in Lewisburg, Tennessee. I am Kyle Bolton, the pulpit minister at Church Street, and I would like to personally invite you to come and share times of Bible study and worship with us each week. We meet every Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. for our morning worship, followed by our Sunday school for all ages at 10:15 a.m. Then we meet again at 6 o'clock p.m. for our evening worship. We also have a midweek meeting for devotion and Bible study on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m.